Do not refrigerate these 10 foods. Find out why. Do you think that putting everything in the fridge is a foolproof way to keep your food fresh? You might be surprised to find out that some of the foods you've been refrigerating for years are actually better off without it. In this video, we're going to uncover the truth about foods that should never be refrigerated and why it can actually harm them. Stick with us to discover why you should rethink your fridge habits and protect the taste, texture, and even the health benefits of your favorite foods. You've probably been told that keeping food in the fridge is the best way to preserve it, but did you know that by refrigerating certain foods, you could be ruining their flavor and nutrients? Sounds crazy, right? Stick around because we're going to blow your mind with the truth. Let's start with something that you probably have in your kitchen right now: tomatoes. Most people think that refrigerating tomatoes is a good way to make them last longer, but this is a huge mistake. When you store tomatoes in the fridge, you'll notice that they lose their rich, juicy flavor and their texture becomes mealy. This is because cold temperatures break down the enzymes responsible for their flavor and aroma. Tomatoes are naturally designed to be stored at room temperature, which allows them to ripen and retain that perfect sweet taste. So, next time you buy a batch of tomatoes, leave them out on the counter for optimal freshness and flavor. Trust me, your taste buds will thank you. You may have heard this before, but it bears repeating: the fridge is not always your friend. In fact, there are at least 10 foods that should never see the inside of your refrigerator. Want to know which ones? Keep watching to find out. Moving on to another kitchen staple, bananas. The banana is one of those fruits that you might think needs to be chilled to last longer, but putting them in the fridge can actually halt their ripening process. The cold air of the refrigerator breaks down the banana's cell walls, causing them to become mushy and overly ripe faster. Instead, bananas thrive best at room temperature, where they can naturally ripen and develop their full sweetness. And here's a fun fact: you can slow down the ripening process by separating them from the bunch, as this helps reduce the amount of ethylene gas released. Keep your bananas out of the fridge, and you'll enjoy them at their peak flavor and texture. But wait, what about the foods that you should refrigerate? Stick around because we're not just talking about what not to put in your fridge, but also what you need to keep out of it for the best results. Keep watching. Next, let's talk about potatoes. You might think that putting your spuds in the fridge will extend their shelf life, but it's actually the opposite. Refrigerating potatoes causes the starch to turn into sugar, which leads to an off-putting, overly sweet taste. It also causes them to develop a gritty texture that's far from pleasant. Instead, potatoes should be stored in a cool, dry place, away from sunlight. A pantry or a dark cupboard is perfect for keeping them fresh and maintaining their natural flavor and texture. So, when you're prepping your next potato dish, remember, the fridge is a no-go. Are you ready for a food shocker? You might be refrigerating your bread, and guess what? It's actually making your bread go stale faster. Want to know why? Let's dive into this bread disaster and more. And then there's bread. This one might seem surprising to some of you because many people keep their loaves in the fridge to keep them fresh. However, the fridge actually causes bread to stale much faster. The cool temperature accelerates the process of starch crystallization, which makes bread dry out quickly. Instead, bread is best stored in a bread box or a pantry where air circulation is just right for keeping it soft. If you're worried about bread going stale too soon, you can freeze it, but only refrigerate it as a last resort. So, keep your bread at room temperature and watch it stay soft for longer. Ready to change the way you store your food forever? We've covered tomatoes, bananas, potatoes, and bread, but there are still 6 more foods that you should never refrigerate. These next ones might surprise you, so keep watching. Now, let's talk about avocados. We all love that creamy, buttery texture that avocados provide, but putting them in the fridge before they've fully ripened is a recipe for disaster. The cold temperatures can slow down the ripening process, leaving you with an unripe, hard avocado when you're craving guacamole. The best way to store an avocado is on the counter, and once it's ripe, then you can pop it in the fridge to keep it fresh for a few days longer. So, don't rush it, let nature do its thing. Want to know why the fridge is your enemy when it comes to some of the foods we just talked about? You'll be shocked at how much better your food can taste and last when you stop using your fridge as a crutch. Keep watching, and we'll reveal even more secrets to food storage. Next on the list, onions. Storing onions in the fridge is a common mistake many people make, thinking it will extend their shelf life. However, refrigeration actually causes onions to spoil quicker. The moisture in the fridge causes them to become soft and moldy. Instead, onions should be stored in a cool, dry place with good air circulation, such as a pantry or a basket. If you've already cut an onion, then you should refrigerate the leftovers, but whole onions do best outside the fridge. And then there's garlic. Similar to onions, garlic should never be stored in the fridge. The cold can cause garlic to sprout and degrade its flavor. Keep garlic in a dry, dark place in your kitchen, preferably in a mesh bag or container that allows for airflow. Doing this will help maintain its flavor and ensure it lasts much longer. A little tip. If you notice that your garlic is starting to sprout, you can still use it, but the sprouts can be bitter. Just remove them and use the garlic as usual. Here's the final bombshell. There's a specific type of food that you should never refrigerate, and it's something you probably thought needed to be refrigerated. Want to know what it is? Keep watching till the end. Finally, let's talk about honey. It's a natural preservative, which means it doesn't need to be refrigerated at all. In fact, putting honey in the fridge can cause it to crystallize and lose its smooth, syrupy texture. Honey can last forever at room temperature, as long as it's stored in an airtight container. The only thing you might want to watch out for is exposure to moisture, as this can cause it to spoil, but that's easily avoidable by keeping it tightly sealed. So, there you have it, 10 foods that you should never refrigerate, and now you know exactly why. Storing food properly is crucial to maintaining its flavor, texture, and nutritional value. By following these tips, you can ensure that your foods stay fresh for longer, taste better, and are always ready to serve when you need them. Next time you're putting food away, think twice before tossing something into the fridge. It's all about understanding the science of food storage and knowing what works best for each item. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit that like button if you found these tips helpful. Subscribe to the channel for more helpful food hacks, and share this video with your friends to help them improve their food storage game too. See you in the next video. Stay fresh.